Claude Cowork has one huge limitation when compared to Claude Code that I honestly haven't heard very many people talking about. And it's not an obvious limitation. It's not a fancy feature. It's not something super technical. It is simply this: Claude Cowork cannot see your previous conversations with Claude Cowork. So let's say you have a folder that you've been working in for months. You've had hundreds of conversations with Cowork in your second brain folder, and you say to Claude, look through my past conversations and suggest ways that we could improve this folder. Claude Cowork will simply tell you that it cannot see those previous transcripts. So when we're working with agents, we want them to see their past conversations so that they can look for improvements. And this just isn't possible with Claude Cowork. Claude Code, however, can read every single session transcript on your disk and can look for ways to improve your setup. So why does this matter? Why do you need Claude to see your past conversations? Well, I'm going to give you 3 examples. The first example is asking Claude to suggest skills that would save you doing repetitive work. Even if you're using skills, you might not realize that you are constantly prompting Claude to do the same thing. And so if you ask Claude Code to suggest some new skills, it might surprise you with repetitive pieces of work or daily rituals that you have that could be turned into skills. So in my case, it turns out that I had been asking Claude quite a lot to go and pull data about my referral program, but no skill existed. So Claude often had to improvise its approach to getting that data. So when I asked Claude Code to look through my previous conversations and suggest skills, it came back with a /referral data skill that now means I will get that information much faster and much more reliably. The second thing we can do is we can ask Claude to suggest new context files or changes to our folder that would make future sessions more effective. So when we give this prompt to Claude Code, it might come back and say, for example, you often have to re-explain certain key terms of your business to me. Why don't we create a glossary.md so that I understand all of that in every single session? Again, this is not something that Cowork is able to do. If you've had 20 conversations where you've had to tell Cowork, hang on, the word squad means 4 people, for example, then it will not be able to spot that pattern. We can also ask Claude Code to suggest improvements to our Claude.md file. Now, Claude.md is just a file that gets dropped into the start of every single conversation. It serves as a map of your project, but it can also change the behavior of Claude. And I use my Claude.md to help Claude call me out on my blind spots. So for example, when I gave this prompt to Claude, it said, I've noticed throughout our previous conversations that you have a habit of overbuilding. You sometimes get carried away with building extra features or parts of the product that you probably didn't need to. So I'm suggesting an addition to your Claude.md file that challenges you when you suggest going off and building some new feature. Now, that is not something that Cowork would have noticed. Cowork would not have been able to analyze all those transcripts and it wouldn't have spotted that pattern. But Claude Code can see the patterns in our conversations and help me make itself more effective. Now, this gets really powerful when you do all of this on a schedule. I have a skill called workspace-review, and I run it as a Claude Code routine every Friday. And it basically looks through all my session transcripts and suggests skills, suggests improvements to my context folders, and suggests changes to Claude.md. So I don't need to think about this. Every Friday, I get a message saying, based on your last 7 days of conversations with Claude Code, here are some optimizations that would make your future sessions more effective. I've made this skill publicly available, so just click the link below and set it up as a cloud routine. Now, you can set that up in Cowork and it will be helpful, but it's not going to be as effective as Claude Code because Claude Code can see the exact session transcripts. When we're working with agents, we want them constantly looking for ways to improve themselves. Claude Cowork is quite limited in how it can do this, but Claude Code basically sees everything. And if you set up this skill to run every Friday, then every Friday you will get some optimizations based on the conversations you've had. So optimizing your setup isn't something that you have to do proactively. It's something that will happen for you every Friday. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've got more videos coming on how to make the leap from Cowork to Code. So if you want to see them, just hit subscribe, hit the like button. That's always helpful. And I'll see you in the next video.